Hey there parents and families, my name is Andrew Hoffman. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to cover institutional priorities, or hooks, in the college admissions process. Understanding these priorities can give your family valuable insight into how colleges make their decisions. By the end of this video, you're going to learn how student characteristics and attributes can align with college priorities. Let's dive in. So before watching this video, you probably thought colleges just choose the best students out of the hundreds or thousands that apply each year, right? Not exactly. College admissions isn't a true meritocracy, and for good reason that we'll get into today. Each year when I was in charge of college admissions, I had to say no to hundreds of students that I absolutely love and adored after reading their application because we didn't have the room. So at the end of the day, we only have so much space in colleges, and that's where institutional priorities come in. So what exactly are institutional priorities, or hooks? Simply put, institutional priorities are the goals and needs of the institution based on their mission and values and needs of the current day. Typically, institutional priorities are set at the highest level of the institution. That's typically the Board of Trustees, and the Board of Trustees will place their stamp of approval on sort of this list of attributes and characteristics that they want in the student body for various reasons, and the admissions office carries out that task to the best of their ability. In simpler terms, colleges are looking for students who help them achieve certain objectives. So that might be building a really strong sports team, or increasing diversity, or bolstering under-enrolled programs. While there is a common set of institutional priorities that we'll talk about today, the various weight given from one category to another will really vary based on the institution. The first category is a broad category of underrepresentation, either on that college campus specifically or in higher education in general. First-generation college students. These are students who will be first in their family or in their generation to attend or to graduate from college. These students bring really unique perspectives to a college campus and classroom, and a lot of schools will prioritize them. Middle or low-income students. A lot of colleges actively seek to economically diversify their student body, and this is the way that they do that. Interest in humanities or underrepresented majors. There is a ton of interest in STEM, in computer science, and engineering, less and less interest in humanities and less popular majors, and so colleges are looking to fill those seats and fill those classrooms and majors. Geography. Colleges are also looking to diversify their class, geographically speaking. So you may be on a campus tour or an information session where colleges boast about having students from all 50 states. That's where this comes in. So students coming from underrepresented states or regions, or maybe there isn't a student from Wyoming that year, that can affect the admissions process. And underrepresented students of color in higher education. So colleges want to be racially and ethnically diverse, and while the Supreme Court has ruled that admission offices can't take that into account when making an admissions decision, there are still lots of programs across the board to ensure that there is racial diversity within the recruitment pipeline. And then there's another category of students that has absolutely nothing to do with underrepresentation. Instead, this is meeting other priorities of the college, such as filling a roster for a sports team. So first up is athletes. Colleges with strong sports programs, or want to be strong sports programs, will try to recruit athletes to fill their rosters. Being a top player in some of these sports can affect the admissions decision, and certainly there's a relationship between the athletic department and the admissions office. And there's a whole crop of consultants and clinics and camps and showcases, as well as technology that helps match college athletes with institutions. Legacies. If a parent or a grandparent or sometimes a current sibling enrolled at that institution has attended that college, that can usually carry weight within the admissions process. Donor connected. If a student is connected either through family or friend ties to a major donor, so think this is a person with a name on a building or a program, that can often sway an admissions decision. And then finally, faculty and staff children. So if a parent or grandparent, for example, works at that particular institution, there's usually a separate process for considering those students in the admissions process, and they try to be as affirmative as possible. And while these hooks are not guarantees of admission, they can often influence how the student's application is evaluated. So why do colleges even focus on these priorities? First, colleges aim to build a class that reflect their mission and goals. For example, they want a really great mix of athletes and artists and scientists and other types of learners to create a really dynamic campus environment and classroom experience. And second, institutional priorities can help the college achieve broader objectives. So that might be increasing access for underrepresented students in higher education, or ensuring financial stability through donor and legacy support. And understanding these priorities can help your families think strategically about your students' characteristics and attributes and how they might align with the colleges that they're looking for. And now let's talk about what this means for your student and how this relates to the actual college admissions process. First, your student should always highlight their unique strengths and experiences in their application. If they fall into one of the categories that we discussed, make sure that your student highlights that in maybe their essays or activities or perhaps in recommendation letters. For example, if they're coming from Montana, an admissions officer is going to notice that on their application. But perhaps your student wants to talk about the experience of growing up in Montana in one of their essays. Perhaps that's rural Montana, and that's going to be a really different experience compared to larger communities because they might lack access to extracurricular activities, for example, or other things that students coming from more urban environments have. And even if your student doesn't fit neatly into one of these hook categories that we identified, and this is not an exhaustive list, by the way, just remember that every student brings something valuable to their application and to the table. Encourage your student to focus on what makes them special. Colleges really value authenticity in a student's writing and in the application in general, so just make sure that that's highlighted. Now here's a tip. You might be thinking, how in the world can I identify what these institutional priorities might be at this particular college or set of colleges? It's not like they're going to be printing it on the website or giving it out at the information session, and that's true. However, keep in mind, admission officers are trained in these institutional priorities. They're trained in how they talk about the institution, and so listen very carefully for what the institution prioritizes. If they talk a lot about their initiatives for first generation and low-income students, or they talk about a new major that they're trying to build, or they talk about their love for students who want to study humanities, that's a pretty good indicator of what these types of priorities might be. You'll never know at the end of the day, but certainly you can ask questions of like, are there undersubscribed majors, or are you looking at particular parts of the country? The final piece of advice here, specifically for your student, is that they shouldn't worry about things that they can't change at the end of the day, right? You're not just going to move to North Dakota to get an edge in the college admissions process. That would be ludicrous. However, you can focus on the things in your application that you do have control over, such as your narrative and your essays and the things that you're doing outside of the classroom. Institutional priorities, or hooks, are just one part of the admissions puzzle. They don't tell the entire story. They work in concert with all the other aspects of the college application. So that might be your decision plan, as well as the essays and honors and awards that your student has won. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to receive more college admission tips. In the next video, we're going to dive into the concept of demonstrated interest and how that factors into the college admissions process. You can click that video above and watch it now. Thanks so much and good luck, and see you in the next video.